السلام عليكم طلاب. أخذنا تعريف الجريدينت اللي هو لو كانت if f is a function of two variables x and y, then the gradient of f is the vector function denoted by del f. Defined del f of xy equal f sub x comma f sub y, del f as a vector, or partial f over partial x multiplied by I plus partial f over partial y multiplied by j. This is definition of gradient. Gradient denoted by del f. Read del f or grade f. إذن الدل f نقرأه del f or grade f. والقانون شو هو القانون؟ لو كان هيئة فيكتور اللي هو f sub x كما f sub y، أو بدلالة اليونت فيكتور partial f على partial x في I plus partial f على partial y في j. هذا هو الجريدينت of two variables. الجريدينت of three variables نفس الشيء f sub x كما f sub y كما f sub z، or partial f على partial x في I plus partial f على partial y في j plus partial f على partial z في k. ناخذ example. Example 1, f of xy equal sin x plus e to the xy. Find gradient of f at 0, 1. الجريدينت قانون f sub x multiplied by I plus f sub y multiplied by j. I need f sub x and f sub y. f sub x, derivative of sin x equal cosine x. Derivative of e to the xy is e to the xy multiplied by y, because y is constant. At 0, 1, when x is 1 is 0 and y is 1, the f sub x equal to. Now f sub y. f sub y, sin x is constant, therefore the derivative is 0, plus e to the xy, derivative of e to the xy is e to the xy multiplied by x. At 0, 1, when x is 0 and y is 1, del أو f sub y equals 0, because x is 0. Therefore del f equal f sub x I plus f sub y j equal to I, or if del f as a vector 2, 0. Example 2, f of x, y, z equal x square minus xy plus y z square. Find the gradient of f at 1, minus 1, 2. Del f equal f sub x I plus f sub y j plus f sub z k. I need f sub x and f sub y and f sub z. f sub x equal derivative of x square to x. Derivative of xy is y, because derivative of x is 1, y is constant, derivative of y z square is 0 because y z square is constant. When x is 1 and y minus 1 and z equal 2, f sub x equal 3. F sub y. F sub y, derivative of x square is 0. Derivative of xy is minus x because derivative of y is 1. Derivative of y z square is derivative of 1 of y is 1 multiply by z square. Therefore f sub y equal minus x plus z square. When x equal 1 y equal minus 1 z equal 2 راح يكون f sub y is 3. F sub z, derivative of x square is 0. Derivative of xy is 0. Derivative of y z square is derivative of z square is 2z multiply by y. This is the result of f sub z. When x equal 1 minus 1 z equal 2 راح يكون النتيجة the result is minus 4. Therefore del f equal f sub x I plus f sub y j plus f sub z k equal 3i plus 3j minus 4k, or this in the unit vector I with j with k, and this with the vector 3 comma 3 comma minus 4. The directional derivative. Directional derivative المشتقة الاتجاهية. If f is the differentiable function of x and y, then the directional derivative of f in the direction of the unit vector u is duf. duf equal del f dot u. del f الفيكتور del f dot product u الفيكتور u is unit vector. u equal the vector v divided by the norm of v. u is unit vector equal the vector v divided over norm of v. If w equal f of x, y, z, then the directional derivative of f is duf equal del f dot u. The dot mean dot product between del f and u. This directional derivative of two variables, and this low directional derivative of three variables. Okay. Example 1. Find the derivative of f of x, y, z at p not equal 1, 1, 0 in the direction of the vector a equal 2i minus 3j plus 6k. Okay. مطلوب directional derivative. Therefore, the law of directional derivative equal del f dot u. Directional derivative equal del f dot u. I need two things, del f and unit vector. I need del f and unit vector. Okay. f sub x f sub x, this function, هذا الفانكشن is function of three variables. هذا الفانكشن function of three variables x and y and z. f sub x, derivative of x to power 3 is 3x square. Derivative of x y square is y square. Derivative of z equal 0. Therefore f sub x equal 3x square minus y square. At p naught equal 1 0, substitute by x by 1 and y by 1. Therefore f sub x equal 2. f sub y, derivative of x to power 3 is 0 because I want to derive with respect to y. x is constant. Derivative of minus xy square is derivative of y square 2y multiply by minus x. راح يكون عندي minus x 2y. Derivative of z equals 0 because z is constant. The result f sub y equal minus 2xy. At p naught 1 0, the result is minus 2. The result is minus 2. طلاب بدنا ننتبه، في عندكم هون خطأ أو ناقص. الناقص إشارة sign of negative not exist. في عندكم هون الإشارة مال سالب ما موجودة بالمحاضرة اللي سحبتوها أو بالبي دي اف، فبدنا نخليها هذا الماينس. اوكي. f sub z, derivative of x to power 3 is 0. Derivative of xy square is 0. Derivative of minus z is minus 1. Therefore f sub z equal minus 1. At 1 0, f sub z equal minus 1. okay. ضل f at p naught equal 2i minus 2j minus k. Now I want to find unit vector. U is the vector A over the norm of A. Vector A over the norm of A. The vector A والnorm of A is 7. norm of A is 7. راح يكون عندي 2 over 7i minus 3 over 7j plus 6 over 7k. هذا هو اليونت فيكتور. Therefore the last thing I want to find du f equal del f dot u. del f dot u. Therefore the result is 4 over 7. 4 over 7. This is the directional derivative of this function at the vector A. Another example. Find the directional derivative to the function f of x, y, z equal 3 e to the x cosine yz as 0, 0, 0 in the direction of A. A equal to I plus j minus 2k. Okay. Now, the law of directional derivative is du f equal del f dot u. The vector del f dot a vector u. I need del f and I need u. Del f equal f sub xi plus f sub yj plus f sub zk. Therefore f sub x derivative of e to the x is e to the x. 3 and cosine yz is constant. راح يكون عندي the result 3e to the x cosine yz. When x equals 0, y equals 0, z equals 0, f sub x equal 3. f sub y. 3e to the x is constant. Derivative of cosine yz equal minus sine yz multiply by z, because the derivative with respect to y. هذه f sub y minus 3e to the x z sine yz. When x equals 0, y equals 0, z equals 0, the result is 0. Okay. f sub z. 3e to the x is constant. Derivative of cosine yz with respect to z equal minus sine yz multiply by y. This is the result of f sub z. At 0, 0, 0, the result is 0. Therefore, del f equal 3i plus 0j plus 0k. I need unit vector. Unit vector is vector a over norm of a. Okay, this is the unit vector. duf equal del f dot u. Del f is 3i dot 2 over 3i plus 1 over 3j minus 2 over 3k. 3 multiply by 2 over 3, I dot I is 1. The result is 2, because 0j and 0k is 0, the result is 2. This is the directional derivative of this function at the vector a. Now, chain rule. Chain rule. Chain rule of one independent variable. If w equal f of x, y, where f is differentiable function of x and y. If x is a function of t and y is a function of t, where g and h are differentiable function of t, then w is differentiable function of t, and dw over dt equal partial w over partial x multiplied by dx over dt plus partial w over partial y multiplied by dy over dt. This is the outline of chain rule with one independent variable. If w is function of two variables, x and y, and x is function of t, of one variable, and y is function of t, also one variable, therefore derivative of w with respect to t equal derivative partial w over partial x multiplied by partial d of x over dt plus partial w over partial y multiplied by dy over dt. This is chain rule of one independent variable اللي هو t. One independent variable t. Okay. Example. If z equal x square y plus 3xy to power 4, where x equals sine 2t, and y equal cosine t. Find dz over dt when t equals 0. Because this function has two variables, x and y, and x has one variable is t, y has one variable is t, therefore I use chain rule, because this function is composite function، دالة مركبة. هذه الفانكشن هي دالة مركبة تتركب من ايش؟ من x equal sin 2t y equal cosine t. This function composite function دالة مركبة. Therefore I use chain rule. The chain rule dz over dt equal partial z over partial x multiply by dx over dt plus partial z over partial y multiply by dy over dt. You know partial z over partial x because z has two variables, and dx over dt because x has one variable. X has one variable and z has two variables. I use partial. If one variables, I use d. Okay. Partial z over partial x. This function. I need to derive this function with respect to x. Derivative of x squared is 2x. Y is constant. 2xy. 2xy. Okay. Derivative of x is 1. The result is 3y to power 4. Okay. I need to find dz over dt. عفوا بابورة dx over dt. الx is sine 2t. Derivative of x with respect to t. Derivative of sine is cosine. Derivative of sine is cosine 2t. Multiply by derivative of 2t is 2. The result 2 cosine 2t. I want to find partial z over partial y. Okay. Derivative of y is 1. Therefore, the result is x squared multiplied by 1. The first part. The second part. Derivative y to power 4 is 4y to power 3. Multiply by 3x. The second part. Then the first part is x squared. The second part 12xy to power 3. Okay. I want to find dy over dt. Derivative of cosine is minus sine. Derivative of cosine is minus sine. Multiply by derivative of t is 1. The result is minus sine t. Okay. When t equals 0, x equal, when t equals 0, x equals sine 0 is 0. Therefore, when t equals 0, implies that x equals 0. When t equals 0, y equal cosine 0 chanda, cosine 0 is 1. معناها y is 1. X equals 0 implies that y equals 0 because t equals 0. Even when t equals 0 implies that x equals 0 and y equals 0. Substitute by t equals 0 و x equal 0 and y equals 0. The result is 6. The result is 6. This is chain rule for one independent variable. ناخذ chain rule 2 independent variables. If w equal f of xy where f is differentiable function of x and y. If x is function of two variables s and t, and y is function of two variables s and t, such that the first partial derivative, partial x over partial s, partial x over partial t, partial y over partial s, and partial y over partial t all exist, then partial w over partial s and partial w over partial t exist and are given by partial w over partial x equal partial w over partial x multiplied by partial x over partial s plus partial w over partial y multiplied by partial y over partial s. The same partial w over partial t. The outline is: if w is function of two variables x and y, and x is function of two variables t and s, while y is function of two variables t and s, therefore if I want derivative of w with respect to t, or I want the derivative of w with respect to s, the law is partial w over partial x multiplied by partial x over partial t plus partial w over partial y multiplied by partial y over partial t. If I want partial w over partial t, when I want partial w over partial s, the result is partial w over partial x multiplied by partial x over partial s plus partial w over partial y multiplied by partial y over partial s. This is the chain rule of two independent variable t and s. Two independent variable t and s. Okay. For example, if w equal cosine u v, u equal x y z, v equal pi over 4 x square plus y square. Find partial w over partial x at when المطلوب مطلوب واحد partial w على partial x، مش المطلوب انه partial w على partial y او partial w على partial z، المطلوب فقط partial w over partial x، مطلوب واحد فقط. اوكي. partial w over partial x is partial w over partial u, partial w over partial u multiplied by partial u over partial x plus partial w over partial v multiplied by partial v over partial x. This is a chain rule. This is a chain rule. Now, I want to find partial w over partial u. Okay. W is cosine uv. I want to derive this with respect to u. Derivative of cosine is minus sine. Derivative of cosine is minus sine multiplied by derivative of uv with respect to u is v. Therefore, the result is minus v sine uv. This. I want to find partial u over partial x. U is x, y, z. The derivative of u with respect to x is y, z, because derivative of x is 1. The result is y, z. Now, I want to find partial w over partial v. This derivative of cosine is minus sine. Derivative of cosine is minus sine. Multiply by derivative of uv with respect to v is u. Now partial v over partial x. By derivative of 2 divided function. Derivative of division function أو divided function. قسمة دالتين. Okay. The button square. المقام square. The button multiply by derivative of the top is 0 minus the top multiply by derivative of the bottom with respect to x. The result is this. The result is this. At 1, 1, 1, when x equal 1 and y equal 1 and z equal 1, u is 1 because u is x multiplied by y multiplied by z, 1 multiplied by 1 multiplied by 1, 1. Because x is 1 and y equal 1, therefore v equal pi over 8. Substitute by x equal 1, y equal 1, z equal 1 and u equal 1 و v equal pi over 8. The result is partial w على partial x equal minus pi over 8 sine pi over 8 plus pi over 8 sine pi over 8, because this pi over 8 sine pi over 8 the same of minus pi over 8 sine pi over 8, but opposite with sine. بما أنه نفسها نفس المقدار ولكن مختلف بالإشارة, the result is 0. positive وهذه negative راح يكون النتيجة 0. This is the derivative of partial w over partial x at this point. Okay. Now, if z equal e to the xy, x equal 2u plus v, y equal u over v, I want to find partial z over partial u. مطلوب أيضا 1. مطلوب أيضا 1. بدنا نوجد partial z over partial u at u equal 0 and v equal 1. This function is composite function. هذه الدالة مركبة. Therefore I want to use chain rule. Partial z over partial u equal partial z over partial x multiply by partial x over partial u plus partial z over partial y multiply by partial y over partial u. Okay. Now, partial z over partial x, derivative of e to the xy is e to the xy multiply by y. Derivative of x with respect to u is 2 because derivative of v is 0. Derivative of z with respect to y. Derivative of e to the u is e to the u في derivative of u. راح يكون the result e to the xy multiply by x. e to the xy multiply by x. شوف هاي الاكس بس اتأكدوا منها موجودة او ما موجودة. اتأكدوا منها، احتمال تكون لين هون ما كانت موجودة. أنا خليتها داخل إليبس. put in the ellipse، هذا الإليبس حتى تشوفوا إنه بالبي دي اف ما كانت موجودة. بدكم تنتبهوا تصلحوها. هذه الإكس بالبي دي اف مش موجودة، not exist. please change. please change. okay. derivative of y with respect to u. هذا ال y. I want to derive y with respect to u. derivative of u is 1. 1 over v is constant, therefore the result is 1 over v. Substitute by u equals 0, v equal 1, x equal 1, y equal 0. Because when u equal 0 and v equal 1, x equal 1. When v equal 1 and u equal 0, y is 0. Therefore the result is 1. Please write x. Okay. The last example. If w equal f of u v, w equal f of u v, function of u و v. This function I don't know the shape of this function. I don't know. U is function of x and y. U equal x plus y. V is function of xy. V equal x minus y. Show that partial f over partial u square minus partial f over partial v square equal partial w over partial x multiplied by partial w over partial y. I want to prove the right side is equal the left side. I want to prove the right side equal to the left side. Because I don't know the function between u and v, I don't know this function, therefore I can't start with the left side. Therefore I want to start my proof by right side. Partial w over partial x equal partial f over partial v multiplied by partial v over partial x plus partial f over partial u multiplied by partial u over partial x. Okay. I don't partial f over partial v, but partial v over partial x, I know partial v with partial x is 1. I know that partial v with respect to x is 1. Okay. I don't know partial f over partial u because I don't know this function. But I know partial u over partial x. Partial u over partial x is 1. Substitute by partial v over partial x by 1 and partial u over partial x by 1. The result is partial f over partial u plus partial f over partial v, named equation 1. Now, partial w over partial y is by chain rule, partial f over partial v multiply by partial v over partial y plus partial f على partial u multiply by partial u over partial y. I can't derive partial f over partial v, but I can derive partial v over partial y. Partial v over partial y is minus 1. Minus 1. Partial f over partial u, I don't know, but partial u over partial y is 1. Is 1. Derivative of y is 1. Derivative of x is 0. Okay. Now substitute by partial v over partial y by minus 1 and partial u over partial y by 1. The result is partial f over partial u minus partial f over partial v. Name equation 2. Therefore, if I multiply equation 1 with equation 2, the result is finished. The result is finished because equation 1 multiplied by equation 2, the result is partial f على partial y square minus partial f على partial v square. The result is finished. Therefore, the right side equal the left side. Thank you.